Good morning, everybody. We are live again. It is Tuesday. I am Allison Henderson, the host for this LinkedIn Live. My company is Moving Image Consulting. And if you don't know a lot about me, I come at consulting and training the trainer and all of those things from a nonverbal communication side. So I am your body language interpreter when it comes to the signals that you send and the signals that you see from others. And I'm so excited to have Erin Marcus as my guest today. Hopefully you have already heard her speak. She does a lot of speaking and she is fantastic. She is the owner of Conquer Your Business, and I did want to promote just a couple things. One, and we're going to talk about, because Erin has an upcoming 3-day virtual event called Ready to Conquer. So we're going to make sure that we, in the show notes for this and everywhere we can put it, we're going to have the links for how to register for that. And then one of the things we probably will end up talking about today is this idea of re-entry. And I've been talking to a lot of people about this moving back into the office and what that means and how we do that and what's going to happen to our body language, because we can't shake hands anymore and we're going to be masked and it's going to be weird. So I am hosting a free webinar on the 29th of April. And so I'm going to put the link to that in the chat here too as we get started, just to get that out of the way. If you want to join that webinar at noon Central on the 29th, because that's going to be interesting discussion, very much discussion oriented on what we do and how we're going to transition. So without any further ado, I am going to bring Erin Marcus on stage with me. She works with one-on-one clients. She works in corporations as well. And as I said, if you haven't heard her speak yet, you're missing out. So let's get her in here. There she is. Good morning, Erin. What else do you say about you? I mean, I know you have so much real experience in corporate world before you switched over to focusing more on entrepreneurs, but anything I missed or anything that you want to make sure that we put in this bio up front?
You know, the big thing that I like to tell people so that they know what to expect is that I work very much at the intersection where what you need to do to grow your business or succeed meets who you need to be to do it. So it's a lot about business planning and strategy and marketing. And at the same time, I call it street level mindset. I want you to be happy. Don't get me wrong. I want you to be happy, but it's not the puppies and rainbows and unicorns version of mindset. It's the, what do I need to do right now to get out of my own way to do the things I said I wanted to do? Because what I've learned is I can give you a business plan. I can help you create strategy, but if you're not, it's not going to work until you are ready to be the person it takes to do it. So working at that intersection is how I've been able to have the biggest impact. And it's just so much fun.
Oh, I love to hear you say that, because I know for my own business, it has definitely taken kind of cutting those cords to all the mind trash and everything else that's in there, because we bring a lot of stuff with us, and half the time, even with my own clients, I'm looking at their nonverbal behavior and I'm looking at the body language, but it's when things change and I'm like, wait a minute, go back to that last statement. What did you just say?
Yeah.
And especially if it's some kind of self-deprecating, or if it's in the past where I've always been told this or those, anytime somebody says I've always been told, I'm like, oh, there's mind trash right there that we have to get rid of, or particularly if it happens to be negative. And so oftentimes, yeah, it's dealing with that, because when you get rid of that mind stuff, then the body language changes, because your body and brain are so connected that so we're definitely on the same page with all of that. And make sure that I did post the website in there, because
Great.
you can find everything about Erin and contact her and things through her website, which is actually really, really good. I really
like that.
I was looking at this morning to make sure I got the link right. I was like, damn, I like this website. So it's worth your time to go spend some time, read the blogs, check it out. So because we share this idea of loving just the kind of the straight talk and not letting people get away with things, I wanted to start with the idea of fear, because some people call it fear, some people call it mindset, some people call it a lot of things. But what might you tell them about eradicating some of these things, and so that it's not getting in the way of your business?
Sure. So, kind of going back to what you said, I speak very directly and very straightforward, and I do that with intention and with the experience of my corporate job, my previous business that I owned, working with families with aging parents. And one of the things I saw happen there is we use this soft language, we use euphemisms, we use all this beating around the bush to avoid difficult conversations. And the most difficult conversation you will ever have is an honest conversation with yourself. And by using straightforward language, such as fear, it lets me have an easier time understanding what's going on and then getting past it. Because when we use softer language, when we use euphemisms, we often use that to deflect. We often use the softer language to deflect the reality, the scary reality of what's going on. And I got to tell you, um, I think one of the reasons I do speak so directly is because I'm also seriously the most non judgmental person you'll ever meet. I get it. I know because I studied it myself that we all come with decades of stories about ourselves given to us from other people, the expectations of a corporate job, of a high school, whatever it is. And it's just, if it was easy, everyone would be doing it type of thing. It's hard to break past those. So even though I speak very directly about what you need to do, it comes with absolutely zero judgment that it's not easy, that you might be fighting the same battle you fought last year. One of my girlfriends and I have a joke. It's like, darn it, I hired my mother again. How did that happen? I thought I was past this, So I call it fear. And I call it fear anytime you get that physical feeling, anytime you find yourself doing something other than what you said you knew you needed to do, anytime you tell yourself a story that limits anything, whether it's, I want to make this much money, but I'm okay with that much money. I want to go speak on a stage in front of 500 people, but that's okay. I'll just do a free speech at my networking group. Anytime there's that little stop, the clench, the avoidance, you name it. If it's a negative or a lessening, it's fear.
Mm.
And
Did you hear that, everybody? Did you did you catch that?
it shows up in
those little
so
things
many
we tell
ways.
ourselves, it's fear.
It's fear.
And don't sugarcoat it with anything else, because you do kind of have to put that mirror up, right, and look
Right.
yourself in the eye.
And again, with zero judgment, with absolute zero judgment. Because if you have zero judgment, then you are opening the opportunity to ask yourself a better question. If you have judgment around what's going on with you, then you're cut off from the solution because you're stuck in the judgment. But if you have zero judgment and you go, okay, what am I scared of? Now I have an opportunity to learn. Now I have an opportunity to ask a better question. And what do I need to do? Like a legitimate curiosity. That's one of my favorite phrases. Stay in the curiosity.
Mm.
Not, about yourself, about others, about why you respond the way you respond, about what's possible. Stay in the curiosity. And that's how you get past the fear. Okay, so I'm not ready to get on stage in front of 500 people. What can I do? Can I get on stage in front of 30 people? Maybe, maybe not. That's fine. Back it down until where you hit the point you're like, all right, I can do that. And then do it that way. And then you work your way up. You don't have to jump over every hurdle. You can step your way over it. I was working at a commercial real estate firm, and you talk about fear. I didn't know that certain things weren't supposed to work. So I did them with no expectation of failure because I was too naive to know it didn't work. And I was in a commercial real estate company. I was a junior broker on a team, and I reached out to American Family Insurance, cold calling, to see if I could find out information about their property and who managed their property. Now, I didn't know at 26 years old that that doesn't work. That, like, you can't just call a giant company with thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of square feet of office space and ask them, hey, who manages your property and are you looking for any help? So guess what? It worked. And I got my team a meeting with American Family Insurance because I just didn't know it shouldn't work. So I didn't have the fear. And I tell people, don't ever, the longer you can hold on to not knowing how things are supposed to go, the better off you'll be.
Right. There's, well, it worked for that person. Well, that's them. It might not work for you. That's one of my big things is like really do a little self-reflection and figure out whether you think that particular, I don't know, strategy or reach out thing or newsletter style or whatever, because just because it worked for somebody else and it's their blueprint and it's their blah 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 doesn't mean it necessarily is going to work for you. And I think for entrepreneurs, that's one of our biggest problems and pitfalls early on, because we buy into all sorts of programs
Well,
that we're either not ready for, or we don't know aren't going to work, and we don't have enough real self-realization to know that maybe that style isn't going to work, and then we feel really bad and we feel all the shame and blame and beating ourselves up because we spent money on that. And then
normally, and one of the things you said that I absolutely love is we weren't ready for it. And that is the God's honest truth. It's not that a lot of those tactics are bad, but your business wasn't ready for it because you didn't do the work yet so that that particular tactic would work. And the other thing you said that's absolutely true, it's why I'm not a fan of scripts. Outlines, yes, but scripts, because it wasn't written for you. And so it's not the way you speak and it's not authentic to you. And, bringing it back to your topic of body language. My body language when I'm just talking to somebody in my words is completely different than when I'm all stiff trying to read something that somebody else wrote. It's why listening to people who don't know me introduce me is brutal, because they're just reading something I wrote and it never aligns.
Right. Yeah. And that happens so often too, the script that will get you up to 6 figures in 2 months or whatever. And then I'm like, okay, well, and they have all the stories to back it up, right? Well, yes, because it worked for that person. And I know you're big on, authenticity and sales and all of that, as well. And that's one of the first things that I usually have to go into if I'm going into teams and things. The first thing I ask them is, okay, give me all of the materials that you give your people. Yeah. Right? Give me the sales scripts that you give them and the slide decks that you've given them and all of this stuff. I need to see what they're supposed to be doing. Like, what is that sales process that you're training them on, so that when I work with them, we can figure out how to make it work for each individual. And they're like, really, you're going to change it for each person? I'm like,
you're gonna, and it's not starting from scratch. And I think this is why people get nervous. They think they have to start from scratch, and that's not true. They just have to make it authentic to them. I have a client with a multiple 6-figure bookkeeping business. She's freaking amazing. She's actually going to be speaking at my event. So I'm really excited for that. And her and I were having this conversation. She added a new service to her business. It's fantastic. I love it. And the service was awesome. The problem she was running into is it wasn't selling. And she's like, I don't get it. This is like the greatest thing since sliced bread. It saves people all this money. I mean, it really is a good thing. And we talked exactly what you said. We looked at her sales process. And I'm like, why? And so she was just using the sales process that came from the group that taught her this strategy. And I get it. She bought into the strategy. She was right. Her business was ready for it. But from a sales perspective, I'm like, you have built a multiple six-figure business doing sales your way. Why are we believing their sales process is better? And it was, don't hang up the phone until you get a yes. And I'm looking at her, I'm like, that is as far away from your personality as we could possibly get. There's no way this is going to work for you. I said, how do you normally have a sales conversation? And so we talked about it, and I'm like, perfect, do it that way. And that's how easy it is to get stuck in someone else's story.
Mm.
Because here was this highly successful woman who was taught something new. So she go, kind of like all of us, you go to school, you learn something new, you learn the whole thing. So she just learned the whole thing. And it's not until, and this is why it's so hard. I have 3 different mentors that I work with. It's so hard to catch ourselves in these moments. But to somebody else, it became like, oh, well, go do things the way you've always done things because they're working really well. But that's how easy it is to fall out of our own integrity and our own authenticity.
Oh, absolutely. It is really kind of amazing when we think about it, because we think, oh, I know who I am and I've spent years figuring that out and I've spent all this money working on all that, that head trash and everything, and then whoop, you know,
Right back in, right back in.
something's gonna happen, something's gonna get in there and put us off our game. And just as you said, that's exactly why you need people like yourself to be there to recognize it. And the same thing, going back to the body language piece, because it's subconscious. So
Right.
people think, oh, well, I've got it, or I present really well. People always tell me how great I am as a speaker or whatever. And I'll be like, okay, well, that's great, but you came to me because you say you're not doing well selling from the stage or something, right? Like where is that disconnect
Right.
actually happening? And you don't know, because you think you're being yourself or you think you're being authentic, but it's something in the scripting that you've created for yourself because somebody told you to sell it like this from the stage or something that doesn't work. And suddenly the body language doesn't match your words anymore, and then people get confused, and so they don't purchase from you. But you can't see that yourself. It's impossible because you can't see your own subconscious behavior
Behavior. And
really
one of
very
my
easily.
right, and one of my favorite quotes, and I'm gonna screw it up because I never well, one, I've gotten old enough where I'm turning into my mother and I can't get quotes right anymore. But the other but the other thing is, I don't know that I've seen it written down enough, but the amount of success that you can achieve is directly tied to the level of truth you can accept about yourself without running away.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh, right? And it's hard. And we talk about it here as if this was no big deal. Get a coach, let him tell you everything you do wrong. I mean, it's brutal, right? It's horrible. And those are
Oh, yeah, and to get to the point to be vulnerable enough, right? To say yes to a lot of to the straight talking coaches out there. Yeah, that's a whole other step in and of itself.
but it's
And
the fear.
yeah,
It's the
that's
fear.
that's the thing that we were talking about, right? Of like,
It it's
oh,
the
if I
fear.
hire them, they're gonna, open up. And you think, well, that's what I want. I want somebody to be honest and tell me what I'm doing wrong.
No, they don't.
And then really you don't. Because it's like, oh, because that means I'm gonna have to change, or I'm gonna have to do something really, really
I'm
hard.
gonna
And
have
and,
to
and they're
face
gonna hold me accountable, and that's even worse.
right? Or I'm gonna have to, this is what's really interesting. I'm going to have to face a truth about myself that I already know 99% of the time. Like, I know the things about myself that I don't like about myself, but there's a big difference of knowing that in the back of my mind and having somebody else recognize it, see it in me. I have to admit it out loud, and now I've got to change it. It's not easy. It's kind of like, so in my crazy background, I used to do competitive powerlifting, and we'd be in the gym like a lot. And we always said if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. And the same thing about the entrepreneurship and facing our fears. If it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So give yourself some credit for even being willing to approach the topic.
Yeah, yeah. Have those little celebrations, have the wins, all those um, things. One other thing that I wanted to touch on is because I think this is one thing that people come to coaches for, is they come for it and they say, I I want to be able to get more things done. I want to be more productive. Or I procrastinate too much, and they kind of put productivity and procrastination like in the same bucket.
Yeah,
And
they
I'm
have
not sure. I
nothing to
don't
do
think
with each
they're the
other.
same thing. But so what, first of all, is productivity even a myth? I mean, I think sometimes, is that even the word that we should be using? So what are some thoughts?
So, okay, so real quick, the procrastination is fear because procrastination is a version of self-sabotage. It's one of my favorite versions, my personal. I'm really good at it. So I have a
We are all really good at that, right?
very intimate relationship here with,
Maybe I'll go walk the dog. Yeah, I
right,
don't
literally,
need to
yeah.
walk right now.
And what I've learned is a process of how to figure out how you're feeling in the moment when you pivot from I said I wanted to do this, I'm doing this to oh look, I'm gonna go on BuzzFeed and find out what Disney prince I'm gonna marry. What kind of cheese I was in a former life, and all these crazy quizzes that even at my age I still find myself doing, right? So how did I feel in that moment so that I can become an observer of my behavior and reframe what's going on to get back into action. So that's two different things. The procrastination is a version of self-sabotage, which comes from fear. That's that process. Productivity is the new version of how are you? Oh, I'm fine. And now it's I'm busy. The idea that you need to get more done in order to achieve is it it's a lie. It's the opposite. If you want to grow your business, you need to figure out exactly what only you can do in your business and hire the rest of it. Hire for the rest of it. The path to success is about eliminating the things. It's like, what is my most direct path to the outcome that I want? And here's where we screw it up. 99% of the time, your most direct path to the outcome that you want is talking to other human beings. And the thing that scares us, because we brought it up earlier, right? You said your outreach. The thing that messes us up is the fear behind what's going to happen if I have to go talk to other human beings. So instead, we tweak our website and we work on newsletters and we do all these other things because I got to be more productive and I got to get more done. When I promise you, if you would stop doing 80% of that and just go talk to other human beings, you'd probably be fine.
Yep. Oh, and talk about yourself. So, that was beautiful. Um, so definitely go back and re-listen to that last, 2 minutes, everybody. Like put it on rewind or take that chunk out and put it on, replay in your head, in your ears.
I ask myself every day, what is my most direct path to the outcome that I'm looking for? And my favorite question, and I ask myself this all the time, how easy am I willing to allow this to be? It's not just what if it were easy, but how easy am I willing to allow this to be? Because what's happened with this whole thing about productivity is somewhere along the lines, because if you hear the stories, compared to France where they take a month off, and Americans have this issue where we have to be busy all the time. Well, that means we create work. Our definition of a hard worker and an achiever is someone who does hard work. Well, wait a minute. If my definition is someone who does hard work, how hard am I making the work? Right? So that I can meet my own definition of being a hard worker means I have to have hard work. But sometimes, how easy am I willing to let this be?
Yes. Okay, everybody, you're going to take a deep breath now and you're going to think about having a little more ease in your day today. What a wonderful gift to be giving you at 8:30 in the morning is thinking about, oh, this could potentially be easy today. So wonderful thoughts, truth bombs, all of that stuff today. Before we get off, I want to make sure that you get a chance to talk about Ready to Conquer, which is coming up May 6th through 8th.
Yeah,
So give everybody a little preview about what that is, and we'll make sure that there's links. It's right on our
awesome.
website. You can register right there. But
Register right there. So
yeah.
it's 3-day event. It's virtual because how easy can I make this? I wanted, a perfect example. I wanted it in person and a hybrid. I'm like, okay, what are you doing? Let people stay home. We don't know what's going on yet. So virtual event, May 6th, 7th, and 8th, called Ready to Conquer. And the first day is all about what do you need to do? We're talking about what are the basic things at any level to grow your business? What do you need to do? Day 2 is going to be who do you need to be to do it? We're going to start talking about how we get in our own way, why it happens. And you are going to walk away with a process to change that. In day 3, because I very much believe in purpose-driven payday, is how do you put this together to build a life you're proud of? I volunteer every week. Having that why helps me do it when it's hard, whatever it is. It also provides a way for me to refill my cup on a weekly basis so that I don't fall into the, you know, overwhelming weight weighing you down of all the things you have to do. And it helps me reframe my perspective. So what do you need to do? Who do you need to be to do it? And how do you put it together to build a life you're proud of? On virtually May 6th, 7th, and 8th. And the link we'll put in the thing. It's conqueryourbusiness.com/ready to conquer. And I'll give you guys a little hint. We're past the early bird pricing. However, if they find us through Allison, you can use the code SPECIAL in all caps, and it'll knock you back down to early bird pricing.
Thank you, thank you. So special all caps, everybody remember that. And so just to underline things, did you hear everybody in that description? This is a working 3-day. Like you
Yes.
come out with the actual plan and what to do. It's not just sitting on your duff, listening to people talk and motivate you and inspire you. And there's going to be all of that in there too, but it is that you actually get to work,
Yes.
on and in and all of that good stuff, whether you like to work on your business or in your business, all those semantics. But, so just think about it. It's not one of those virtual summit things where it's just a ton of different speakers that are,
No.
going to give you maybe a nugget and then they just want to sell you the rest of their stuff.
My intention is that you walk away with actionable items. Someone always asks me, well, are you a motivational speaker? I go, here's the thing. I consider myself an educational speaker, but if I'm not motivating, it won't help you. So I have to be motivating, but again, it's that directness. Do this, do this, do this. Do this, do this, do this. And yes, there's always going to be opportunities to work with the speakers, to work with me, to continue. However, only for the folks who are ready for it and for everyone who isn't quite ready for it, which is fine. You will still walk away with actionable items because that's what my tagline is. Be in charge, take action, get results. That middle piece is like really important.
Right. Oh, well, it's been so great to have you on here. I want everybody to be able to get back to their day, but definitely go if you've enjoyed this, if you're like, oh my gosh, I need to get me some more of Erin, then this 3-day virtual is just a couple weeks from now. I mean, what a great introduction, particularly of like, what if I should hire her? What a great way to figure that out too, right? Because you get an idea of what the stuff is that you would be doing, and then you can go, yes,
Absolutely.
I want the bigger package. I want, those sorts of things too, because we all have that fear, as we've been talking about, of laying down a bunch of cash
Right.
on an unknown. And so this is a way to take away all that fear and the unknown by getting 3 days of this straight talk fabulousness, and
And
then
I
moving
always
on.
say, this is it. I don't have the attention span to be one way here and one way. This is it.
Well, this has been so much fun. I can't wait to put the replay together and all of that. And All right. Have a great day, everybody. I'm going to end the broadcast and we will see you next week.
Awesome.